human to be her salvation. The wind howled through the skeletal remains of a once great alien city, its gleaming towers now nothing but half-melted spires jutting into the blood-orange sky. Daska Viral, once heir to the proud house of Viral, trudged through the rubble, her scaled skin cloaked in a patchwork of salvaged armor, each dent and burn mark a badge of her survival. The invasion had come without warning. The Karen Dominion, a force of merciless biomechanical conquerors, swept across the Narishan colonies like fire through dry grass. The elite were the first targets. Houses like hers vaporized from orbit. Daska had escaped only because she was training with scouts on the outer edge of the plains, learning to survive without the luxuries of her title. Now, a year later, she was a fugitive in her own homeland, living off scraps, hiding in old ruins, and avoiding both Köln drones and opportunistic scavengers. Her once violet eyes were sunken from fatigue, and her once regal bearing had eroded into something rawer, leaner, more dangerous. And yet, as she stumbled into the shattered remains of what had once been a medical outpost, she couldn't shake the strange scent of ozone and, oddly, cooked meat. Her claws flexed. Someone had been here recently. She crept through the corridors. Cracked walls flickered with dying light panels. Then she saw it. A small campfire in the middle of the shattered atrium. Kneeling beside it was a figure, bulky, wrapped in dark fabric and reinforced plating. The moment she stepped on a loose piece of glass, the figure whirled around, pointing a weapon at her. It was a human. Daska hissed and ducked behind a support beam, snarling. She had only seen one human in her life, during a diplomatic event before the war, and now one was here on her world alive. "Oh, whoa, easy," the human called. His voice was gravelly, but not hostile. "I'm not Karen, and I don't shoot people unless they shoot first." She slowly peeked out. The human had lowered his rifle. "My name's Eric," he said. "Survivor of the USS Defiant. Got shot down a few weeks back. You look like hell, by the way." Her tail twitched in irritation, but she stepped out slowly, claws visible. "You should not be here." "Neither should you," Eric replied. "And yet, here we are." Over the next hour, wary truce turned into reluctant conversation. Daska learned that Eric's ship had been part of a humanitarian escort convoy, trying to evacuate pockets of civilians when the Karen fleet ambushed them. He'd been forced to crash land and had been scavenging and hiding ever since. She didn't trust him, couldn't afford to, but he had a supply of purified water, ration bars, and a generator that still worked. She had local knowledge, a map etched into memory, and could detect Karen patrols from kilometers away. They formed an uneasy alliance. "I'm heading to Mount Celier," she said days later. "It was a fallback shelter for resistance fighters. If anyone survived, they'll be there." Eric raised a brow. "And if not? Then I bury what's left of my people," she said simply. He nodded. "Then I go with you." She tilted her head. "Why?" He looked up at the sky, red dust swirling in the dying light. "Because I've got nowhere else to go. And I'd rather die trying to help someone than rot in some ruin waiting for rescue that'll never come." She studied him, wondering what kind of human chose a noble death over a comfortable one. Her people had spoken of humans as unpredictable and emotionally erratic, but never this. The journey to Mount Celier was perilous. Seeker drones blanketed the skies, hunting warm-blooded signatures. Daska and Eric traveled only at night and buried themselves beneath layers of reflective ash by day. One night, as they sheltered in a collapsed tunnel, Daska awoke to the sound of heavy breathing. She found Eric asleep, writhing, a fever overtaking him. She cursed herself. He must have been wounded days ago and hidden it. Despite her pride, she stayed up all night, using ancient Narishan field remedies to reduce his fever. She recalled how her mother once told her, "Mercy is not weakness, daughter. It is the only act that defies the cruelty of war." By morning, Eric's breathing had steadied. When he woke and saw her beside him, a strange silence passed between them, one that spoke of more than debt or gratitude. It was recognition. From that moment on, they moved more like a unit than two strangers. They didn't speak often, but they didn't need to. They began to share stories. He about Earth with its dogs and baseball and oceans that tasted like salt. She told him of her childhood, chasing winged gliders through the sapphire forests of Verena before the world turned to ash. And then, just as hope had begun to stir, they reached Mount Celiar. It was silent. The once great fortress carved into the mountain was a husk. Craters surrounded the entry gates, blackened by plasma fire. Eric's shoulders sank. Daska, however, stepped forward like a ghost returning to a grave. Inside they found the bodies, dozens of them, all Narishan, fighters, medics, even young cadets. She knelt beside a fallen warrior wearing the crest of House Viral, her older brother. A quiet sob escaped her throat, quickly strangled by pride. Eric stood back, silent, offering no words, only presence. "They're all gone," she whispered. "I am the last of House Viral." "You're still here," Eric said. "That means something." "To whom?" she snapped. "I was a failure. A noble raised for diplomacy and ceremony. I wasn't strong enough to lead. Ran. I lived because I was lucky, not worthy." He crouched beside her. "You lived because you fought. You helped me even when you didn't have to. That's not luck. That's survival. That's strength." Their eyes met, and for a moment, the weight of worlds melted between them. That night the Köln came. A swarm of scouts had detected movement near the base. Daska and Eric activated every defense system the fortress still had. Auto turrets, mines, old shield generators flickering to life. But it wouldn't be enough. "We're not getting out," she said grimly. "I didn't come this far to give up," Eric growled, locking a power cell into his rifle. Daska looked at him. This battered, stubborn human who never stopped fighting for a people not his own. And in that moment, something shifted inside her. Not just gratitude. Not even admiration. Faith. She triggered the base's last failsafe. A core overload mechanism that would level the mountain and the Charon forces swarming it. "We can't escape," she said. "But maybe someone else will, someday." Eric looked at the console. "That'll kill everything for miles. Including us." "Yes," she said. "But you gave me something I thought I lost. Hope. It's only right I give it back." He paused, then smiled. "Then let's make it count." They fought side by side, defending the entrance until the last second. Dozens of Köln drones fell. A beacon was launched, broadcasting a message to anyone listening in the quadrant. Narishan resistance lives. Then came the final moment. As the timer reached its end, Eric took Daska's clawed hand in his. "You saved me too, you know," he said. She blinked. "How?" "You made me believe we weren't done yet." The mountain erupted in a fireball that lit the sky for hundreds of kilometers. Weeks later, a Narishan scouting vessel, picking up the distress beacon, arrived to find only scorched stone and melted metal. But from the blackened crater, they retrieved something unexpected. A buried data drive still intact.